The first school in our district was erected in the 1840s. It was a log cabin that stood on the corner of what was once called Church Square. School was later held in the basement of the Covenant Church in the 1850s.
Records show that the growing population required a new school, so in 1873 a modern school was built. It is said to have been the most modern and handsome school in Randolph County at the time.
As more and more students began attending school, more rooms were needed in the building. Several additions were made to accommodate the growing population and the desire for education.
According to the Wisely History of Coulterville, a proposition was made to establish a community high school in 1923. It failed by a large margin. In the meantime, a one-room frame building was constructed in 1920 to help relieve congestion. According to the History Committee's The History of Coulterville book, the building later became the Lincoln School.
Finally, in 1927, bonds were issued to build the two-story brick building. This building sat in the middle of town and had several additions made to it until its fate in 1981.
The first yearbook was called The Highlight. It was printed in 1937. The words were typed and all of the original pictures were taped into the yearbook. The first yearbook contained only high school classes, sports, and activities. The sports were boys' baseball and basketball. The girls also had some sports. Their sports consisted of softball, ping pong tournaments, and basketball. The activities were Halloween carnivals, junior class play Phantom, and senior class play Bashful Bobby.
According to Republican News in 1941, the WPA helped fund an addition in time for graduation.
According to the Eagle 1942, during the school year of 1940 to 1941, a school newspaper was started by Mr. Strong. The newspaper was small and hand-printed by the students, but it was a very proud possession of the school. After considering multiple names, the staff considered the Barker to be the most outstanding.
After having a meeting of the school body, the annual highlight was changed to the Eagle. This was done because they switched the team basketball name from Maroons to the Eagles.
In May of 1947, the school caught fire. The fire was first noticed and reported about 1:30 p.m. by Mrs. Holmes, who lived about a block away from the school building. The fire started between the ceiling and the roof in the northeastern part of the building, above the commercial and English rooms. The fire destroyed the entire roof of the school building.
The Coulterville Gymnasium was built in 1956 by a construction firm out of New Athens. The stage that was in the old gym was made into a classroom. The first time the gym was used was for the graduation service of 1957. The first basketball game was held in the late 1950s.
In 1969, a K-3 building was built on the property to the north of the building.
In 1981, the state condemned our school. The town felt that without a new school, Coulterville would die out and nobody would want to move to Coulterville anymore. The school board was given 4 options. The 4 options were to build a new school building on the new site, to build a new school building on the existing site, or to renovate the building, or to consolidate with a neighboring district. On December 1st, 1981, the school board decided to put a new building on the existing site.
In November of 1981, a bond issue was passed to build a new building at the cost of $956,000. The old school was torn down during the summer of 1982, after a decision was made by a contractor. The building arrived November 1st, 1982, and construction began. The old school was torn down during the 1982-1983 school year. Creative scheduling was implemented to make sure all students continued to receive a good education. Area churches were used to house the elementary. Some grades went to school before lunch, and the rest after lunch. On September 18, 1983, an open house of 400 to 500 people celebrated the new school. Overall, the students approved of the new building, except for the lack of air conditioning.
On October 20th, 1989, 2 classrooms were built on the South Wing building. The entire addition measured 68 by 30 feet. The classrooms were used for the 7th and 8th grades. The addition to the school cost around $70,000 to $75,000.
Coulterville School first officially merged with Marissa for sports for baseball and softball season on March 3, 2002. The baseball coaches from Coulterville when the co-op began were Greg Rushing and Larry Harper. Tim Berry was the softball coach at the time. There were approximately 30 to 32 players total on the softball team, 11 being from Coulterville.
Coulterville School continues to be an important part of our community. If you have other information or pictures about our school that you would like to share, contact us at the following email address and visit our website.